In this tutorial you learn how to make a simple yet powerful rewind time mechanic so you can add to your game, and you got a simple and a more complex where you can choose where you want to stop and keep playing from that point on, so you can make your game even more powerful and even more fun. I'm not teaching the basics here, so grab a game you are already working on and let's start from that. I got a really simple game here, as you can see. Let's play it. You just move around, jump, there are those animations going around, but you cannot collect anything, just to show the mechanic. Start by creating an auto-load, a global object called Game Manager if you don't have one, so let's create one. Plus sign here on the scene. Let's use a simple node. Let's call this Game Manager. Let's save it on my scenes folder. And let's go to Project Settings, Globals, Auto-load, and here you can choose your scene Game Manager. So add it. We have a global Game Manager. Now let's create the script for this Game Manager. Create script. Let's save it on scripts, if I have one. I don't have, so let's create scripts folder and save my Game Manager there. For now, let me remove these and save. And let's start creating some functions. I will start with function setPlayer. I will explain why to use that in a minute. Let's call this _player, type player, and it returns a void. And I also need a function setLevel, _level, type level, also return void. So why this? I need a reference to my level and a reference to my player. I'm getting an error because I don't have the type level or the type player. So let's open my player code here. I actually have a player type already. So class name player. And let's also create a level script here. Call this level. Let's save on scripts. And I don't need this. I just need class name level. So in my Game Manager, I'll not get that error anymore. So let me return here to my level and on ready function. We start typing to show here, ready. I will get my Game Manager dot set level, set _level, self. So here my Game Manager, set level, self. And I also want to do that on my player. So function ready, Game Manager dot set player, self. Great, I have my level, I have my player, I have then setting here, but I need to do something here, right? So let's create variables. Var player, type player, starts no, and variable level. Should be current level, but let's just call it level. Level equals no. Okay. On my set player, I will say player equals _player. I can remove this pass here. Control X removes the entire line and copies it or cuts it. And here level receives _level, and I can remove this. Okay, first thing done. I need some other steps right now. Why do you want a game manager? Because you want to keep track of things and work with all the game stuff anywhere in the game, not only in that particular level or not only with that player, because when you load another scene, another level or a menu or anything, you lose reference to the player that's inside the level. So if you have a game manager, you can handle all that without being afraid of losing that reference. You can get it always and you can handle everything easier. Blah, blah, blah. Let's start with the most simple of the most simple. That is getting the player position and only go back in time for the position. We need a place, a variable, to store the player positions throughout the gameplay. So let's do this. Var player positions. It's an array of vector2 because positions are vector2. And I need a limit here because if I try to record all the gameplay, it will get out of control really quick and really easily. If you're playing for like an hour, you probably overflow your memory and you get an error. So let's put some limits here. Const max rewind frames. I want this to be like, let's start with 5 seconds. 5 seconds are 300 frames because in physics process we run 60 frames per second. So 60 multiplied by 5, 300. And now let's create the function, our simple rewind. The void returns nothing. Okay, my simple rewind want to get the player position when I'm not rewinding, and when I'm rewinding, I set the player position to that timeline of the player positions. So rewinding, I will bind that to a key or to an action. So let's go first to our project settings, input map, and add a new. I actually already have it, but let's say I didn't. So let's add another one, rewind, add that. Let's add some keys. I want the tab button, and on my gamepad, I want the L trigger. If input.is action pressed, my rewind action, I'm going back in time. And if it's not action pressed, I'm not going back in time, or else it's everything happening. I will get the player position. But before, I need to make sure I have a reference to the player. If I try to get the player position without the player, I'll get an error. So if player, then I will do all this. If I don't have a player, I just skip that. So let's do this first. When I'm not pressing the rewind action, I will get the player position. So my player positions dot append, I will append a new input here. So I'll get player dot global position. Simple. And I need to make sure my max size here is respected. So if player positions dot size is bigger than my max rewind frames, I will remove the first I added, not the last. So player positions dot pop front. I remove the first and try to that array. Great, I'm getting the player positions. I need a way to return it, to get that. So here, when I hold down my rewind action, I will make the player move back in time. So I get player.global position. We receive player positions dot pop back, the last position. And I need to make sure I will not get an error if I don't have anything to pop. So if player positions dot size is greater than 0, I will only get the position if the size is greater than 0. So I have something to pop. Great, this should work. Let's try. Hit play, and I move and I jump and oh, it didn't work. Why that? Because I'm not calling this anywhere. I'm not referencing it anywhere. So let's go here on my function physics process, a built-in function, and let's call simple rewind. I'll just give an underscore to this delta because I'm not using it, and Godot will give me a warning. Oh, you're not using it. Put an underscore. So okay, if now I hit play, I jump here. Oh, I can go back in time. But notice that only the position. Anything else changes. You want to rewind more than only the player position, so you can go here and add more variables, like variable player velocity. I can add player animation frame, player color, player anything I want. The more variables I add this directly, are more arrays I need to change separately, and more possible to get some errors on, like this array, this pop it has like 5 elements, this other array has 6, and we can get a problem. So instead of adding one variable per thing, let's make everything inside one array, but it will not be of vector 2. It will be a dictionary. And let's not call that player positions, because there will be not only positions. Let's call that player frames. So I got each frame for the player is stored here with only the information we want. So we got errors here, right? So first, it's not player positions, it's player frames. But here I need some other stuff here. Player positions, player frames, the player frames. Right, I'm trying to get a global position from an array of the dictionary. I'll get an error here. So let's do some changes here. First, on how we save. Let's create a variable called frame. It's a dictionary. And let's put some information here. First, I will get the player position. It's player.global position. This. I shouldn't get this error here. Oh yeah. I just forgot this equal sign. Okay, so position, velocity, store that, player.velocity. I want to store animation. It's not player.animation. I have an animated sprite, and that animated sprite has an animation. If your player has no animations, you don't need to worry with that. We can just skip. But if you have an animation here, you need a reference to your animated sprite on your player. You can create a function here to control that, and don't control everything on the game manager, so you have more reliability on your code. But let's do it more simple and get the animated sprite directly. So here, animation, I got the animation frame, player.animated sprite.frame. And I also want to check if they're looking left or right, or the flip horizontal value of my animated sprite. Flip H. Okay, now I got my data here, my information in the store. I added that to a variable. That's a dictionary with all this, and I just added as a frame on my player frames, so I don't need a variable for position, velocity, animation, and so on. It's much more easier. Now we need to get those things back. So let's create a variable here called frame as well. It will be a dictionary, and whoops, I don't need that. It will be player frames dot back. This way I got my last frame, and I will return. And here we want to assign everything else. So I need to assign the player, global position, velocity, I can just copy this here, and I will just do this. If you Control C and Control V in this on the line, not selecting anything, just click the line, it will copy and paste the entire line. Velocity, animation, frame, and flip H. And I can remove this one. Now I get frame, square brackets, and I need to add that name, position. Let's copy it so it's here. I can do this, copy, paste, 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 paste. Velocity, animation, animation frame, and flip. Okay, so let's just give a small check here. Is it working? I go back. Oh, you can see my player is stopped. It doesn't work. It's not that the player is stopped. It's that I'm trying to set manually a value and my player handles changing animations and stuff. So when my player go here and change animation, oh, let's grab here, my player. Here, it is changing my animation here. So I need a way to stop the player. Let's go back here. Game manager. I want my player to be frozen in time. So I will stop its processing. I get player dot process mode equals node dot process mode disabled. And here I need to make the player go back again. So let's put this at the end. Player dot process mode equals node dot process mode inherit. That is the default process mode. Let's take a look. And woo! You see the player is animating, but the camera is still. That's because when I say my player, the process mode is disabled. If I go to my player here, my collision shape, my animated sprite, and my camera will also not process anything at all. So I need to change my camera to keep processing while the player is paused. So let's do player dot camera. But I don't have a camera. Let's add a reference for that. If I go here on my player script, I can hold down here, hold Control or Command, and release on my code. I get a reference to my camera. So let's remove this 2D here. Let's go back to Game Manager, and let's do player dot camera. Now I have a camera. Dot process mode equals node dot process mode dot always, because the camera needs to work. And that's it. So let's hit play and check. Yee-hoo! Now it's working. I'm getting player velocity, I'm getting player position, I'm getting player animation, and I get their facing. This is almost it for the simple rewind for the player. The game is still running. I want an option to pause the game. So like you can see everything else runs as normal. If you want, you can use that. But if you want to pause, let's pause. Make your game pause. We need to pause the game. So let's do this here. When it's rewinding, let's pause the game, but let's add an option to pause. So let me create a variable that I can change in the inspector. Export variable pause on rewind. It's a boolean, and let's set that to true by default. And what is an export variable? Just quick note here. If you select your game here, you can see on the inspector on the right side here, or where you dock it, pause on rewind, I can just trigger this on and off. I set if pause on rewind, I will pause the game. Get free.paused equals true. And I need to unpause here. Do that as the last thing. Pause equals pause. Great, but we'll face a problem here. If I go there and press, whoa, everything stopped. I paused the game, including my game manager, so I cannot manage anything at all. So let's go back here. Actually, my camera is processing. Let's change some things here. Go to your scene here on the game manager, and on the inspector, go to process and change mode to always. That way, your game manager will not be affected by the game pausing. So let's save and hit play and see what happens. I go back here and it's working. And you can see all other animations, everything else stops. And if I change this to false here and I play, even when I'm rewinding, they don't stop. So that's it for the simple rewinding. Blah. Quick overview here. What did we do? We got reference to the player and the level. We set reference to the frames. we got a limit to the frames we save, we got the references, we get the player position, velocity, animation, and all other stuff you want. And if you want to get from other objects, not on the player, you can do this here as well. And you can make other things go back in time, not the player. You can like use a spell to make an enemy go back in time, but you don't go back. You can do it whatever you want here. And I start at, I check the size limit, I unpause the game, and when I'm rewinding, I pause the game if I want to pause, of course. I check if I don't have, if I have things to get, I have frames to get, I will make my camera always work, and I will get all my stored values here. Position, velocity, animation, and so on. That's it for the simple rewind mechanic. If you want to play a really beautiful, nice, amazing Metroidvania co-op 1 to 4 players, just head out to Steam and download the demo. We have a demo there. I worked as a level designer in this game, this amazing game, and if you want to know why it's not a huge success and what we did wrong on that game, I can tell you, just tell in the comments, Narcolid. No, the awesome, complex time rewinding is not that complex. It's actually pretty simple, but we have some difference from the simple here. Well, let's go ahead and create that function. Complex rewind. It's a void. I'll need some variables here to use this better. So let's start doing my is rewinding. So I know when it's rewinding to do something. Rewinding. It's a boolean, starts of false. I need to know which frame or which part of the timeline we are currently on. So rewind frame. It's an integer, starts at 0. And let's use a variable rewind step. How many frames I move at a time? I can move 1, 2, 3, 4. It depends the speed you want to go back and forth. It's okay, those variables, let's come back here. Let's check my player, as I did before. Let's check the input. If I can copy this, but I will not just copy this. I just pressed action, just pressed here. Why just pressed instead of pressed? Because I want to change states. Is rewinding, is not rewinding. So if it is rewinding, I will first set to not rewinding, is rewind equals false. I need to, this is when I get out of this and return to the game, or I set the current player position based on what I have saved. So let's get the same thing we did here and here and do that. Okay, come here. Players, but that not as pop back. I also don't want to pop that position. I want to just get it. So I get like this. And the frame is rewind frame. Okay, just make sure my rewind frame is inside my limits. So rewind frame equals rewind frame, oops, clamp, rewind frame 0 at the minimum and maximum player frames, dot size -1. This way I will make sure rewind frame is inside the limits. I could use if rewind frame is smaller than 0, bigger than, no, let's just use clamp, it's faster for us. Okay, now I get it. What I need to do when I'm not rewinding, I will first set the rewinding is rewinding true. I will start rewinding here. I need to set the frame as the last frame. So rewind frame, you get player frames dot size -1. If I want to pause the game, it's a good time to pause. So if pause on rewind, let's pause it. Get 3 dot paused equals true. Whoops, equals true. Now, outside of my pressing of the button, let's check when it's rewinding and when it's not. Again, if it's rewinding, I'll do something here. And if it's not, or else, I'll do something else. Here, if it's not rewinding, I will do the same as I do here. I will get the player frames. So let's copy this. Here, yes, I also want to check the size here. If it's not rewinding, I just get the player frames. And now, if we are rewinding, we're gonna move the player back and forth and place the player in the correct position to show it. So first, let's move. Let's use the same keys we have. Input dot is action pressed. This time is not just pressed, it's pressed. Move left, and I will do something with move right as well. If input dot is action pressed, move right. What I want to do here is just increase or decrease or rewind frame. So let's copy this here and do a simple change here. So when I move left, I want my rewind frame to decrease. And to decrease, we set it to -1. And why I am clamping this? Because it's easier than type rewind frame equals or minus equals 1. And if rewind frame is smaller than 0, then rewind frame equals 0. It's almost the same thing. I'm just putting it in one line. And then I can just copy and paste here. And instead of -1, I will set +1. And now I need to set the player to the correct position. So what I want to do is get here the same thing I do here. Actually, the same thing I do here. Okay, so I move the rewind position, the rewind frame, and I set it. It should work for now. Let's check it. Oh, I need a way to use it as well, right? So let's export another variable here. Simple rewind, and starts as true. And here on our physics process, if simple rewind, oh, I called simple rewind, let's call this. There is a red simple, so is simple rewind. Let's call this is simple rewind. If is simple rewind, we simple rewind, else we complex rewind. And let's go here, my game manager, and remove the is simple to leave it as complex. So when I'm walk here and I press tab, you can see I move. The camera is not following the player. We have still some things to do, but you can see I move. And where are those nice green player sprites? Wait a little, we'll get into that right now. So first, let's just fix the pausing or the camera movement here. And what did we do with the camera? We set the process mode as always. And we also need to do that here. So camera, where is my camera? If I am rewinding, I will pause the camera. Sorry, I will unpause the camera. Process mode always, and here I will just use inherit. So it will return to the default. So let's try it. Move and press tab and come back, and there we go. Camera is working as expected. So let's just check one thing, because I also need to change the player as we do here. Player process mode will be disabled here. And player process mode will be inherit here. Actually, is inherit here and disabled here. Okay, if I'm not rewinding, I will disable the player, because if I go here and choose this here, the player will pause, because I needed pause to make that manually control of the animations. The game is not paused, but the player is the way I want it. Okay, great. So let me change my pause again here. And let's keep going. The next step is to create that nice, amazing player frames, green or the color you want. So how do you want to do that? How do we want? You got it. And the way I'm doing here, maybe it's not the best way or the most optimized way, but is a way that works. Let's go here and create a new scene. I actually animated sprite 2D and click here on sprite frames. Click it again. Let's do it. Let's try one thing first. Let's try to copy. Just paste here. And I set you as the root node here. Make send root. Great. What's this? To be transformed. Oh yeah, you're probably -4. So let's set, instead of that, offset -4 here. Great. Let's call this player frame. I have the same animations the player has. I have everything here I need. But I want one thing here on my inspector, my process. I just want to be disabled. I don't need to process anything here. It will be static images. And let's do some changes here. Instead of click here on visibility, on modulate, reduce the alpha to where you want. Let's check it here. Ooh, where my ghost? And let's add some color here. You can add the color you want. I used green last time, and the player is blue. I don't want to be blue. Let's make it more purple this way and more transparent. Okay, so let's save this player frame in scenes. Okay, and let me go back to my game manager script. And before I can use that, I need to preload, because I will use this a lot. So let's preload our player frame. Player frame goes preload press colon / scenes player frame. Now I need an array to keep track of the player frames, so let's call player echoes. That's array of animated sprite 2D. And there are some tricks here. I want to actually instantiate all those frames at load, because if I try to instantiate each frame, it's not a good idea. So let's just add 300 frames. It will not wait too much, and let's just use them later. So where I am going to instantiate, I need a parent to instantiate, And the parent cannot be my game manager here because we have some issues using it as a node. So let's parent it to our level. And we have a way we get a place we already get the level. It's here. So here we want to add all player echoes, but before we need to instantiate them all. So let's come here. So function ready, and for echo, oh, I learned as I usually for the for in player, not player frames, max rewind frames in. So this goes to 0, like index 0 to max rewind frames minus 1. So 0 to 299. So let's do this. Player echoes dot bend player frame dot instantiate as animated sprite 2D. This way I will instantiate it as the correct type already. So I create them here, and I also want to make them invisible, and I can do that here actually. So let's go back to our player frame, click here, and visibility, not visible. Save. By default, it's not visible. Okay, so I don't need to turn them invisible here. Right, so now on my level, I can add them to the level. For here for E in player echoes, level dot add child E. And if I change levels, I need to unload this before. So let's make sure. If we have a level is not empty, for E in player echoes, level dot remove child E. That way, when we change levels, we remove if we have a level, and we add then as children to the level. Great. Now I need to place them correctly and make them visible. Here, when I got the player position and I stop rewinding, let's make them invisible first, and we make them visible right away. So for E in player echoes, E.visible equals false. And now, when I am rewinding, when I want to show everything, I don't want to get all player echoes. I only want to get the player echoes that are inside the time frame of the player frames. So instead of for E in player echoes, let's use my I here for player frames dot size. This way, if I have less than 300 frames used by the player frames, like we have 100, we are not going to show all those that are not going to be referenced. So that way we do not get an error and save processing speed. So here what do we do? I need to make it visible, and I need to place it in the correct position, correct animation, the correct direction, and the correct frame. So let's do it. So player echoes I dot visible equals true here. Player echoes I dot global position will get my saved position from the player frames. Player frames I dot but not here position. And you got this error here because I forgot to add in. So here we are going to do the same, but we are not going to get velocity. We don't need that. So I want animation, animation frame, and flip. And here is animate. It's animation because it is an animated sprite. frame and flip H. Okay, so let's check it. Come here, and tab. And here we are with our awesome purple frames or green frames or whatever. And you see it's not really, oops, it's not really much more complicated, but it's a bit complicated. Here we have some other things. I could just, like, I'm using this here, I'm using this here. I could create a function for that. I will leave that up to you. So you have more modulated or more reusable code. And if you want to get the code for this, I will leave the link in the description. And let's use this time and say, subscribe to the channel if you like this. Share if you wanna, someone else if you wanna share it, and like this video so YouTube can send it to more people. And thank you so much for watching. If you have any ideas on other tutorials, that I will not be able to do all of them, of course, but tell me in the comments what tutorial you want or what other things you want here. So that's it. Thank you for your time. See you next time.